This is a great new metal artist profile.
All right, gentlemen. I'm Brian Shields with Great New Metal here with Tommy Rogers and Paul Waggoner from Between the Buried and Me, which we learned not very long ago from a reviewer in Pittsburgh is a band that makes a mockery of the very concept of music.
That's the goal, at least.
That's got to be something you're awfully proud of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, though. I mean, the guy obviously had no idea where you guys are coming from. But in some ways, you do kind of make a mockery of some of the old conventions of what people said you could and couldn't get away with in music. So, yeah. 10, 11 years later, how surprising is it to you that there's still both people out there that are outrageously passionate about you and people are just like, what the fuck is that?
I think. The music we write, we have to expect it. It's not for everyone, and I think we understand that for the most part. And even though it sometimes hurts a little bit, it's okay if people don't like us, because obviously everyone doesn't, or we would be living a lot more comfortable. But everybody's obviously entitled to their own opinion, and we're gonna, especially tours like this, we're gonna look kind of odd to a lot of people. And I don't know. I'm prepared for that.
I think we're pretty much prepared for that. It doesn't come as a shock at all that people would feel that way.
I think it's funny.
It is funny, and the thing about it is for us is that oftentimes when you see a review like that where they sort of criticize elements of our music, and most often it's things that we're intentionally doing anyway. It's like the guy's saying, well, they scream 1 minute and then sing the next, and it's like, well, yeah, we do that, and so it's he's saying truthful things. He just doesn't like it, which is totally fine. Obviously, he kind of went overboard, I think, with the language that he used, and whatever. It was a little, for someone who's supposed to be, kind of an unbiased reviewer, I think it was a little unprofessional. But, again, it doesn't surprise me. You saw the gig tonight. There was plenty of people out there who were completely bummed on what we were doing. But that's all right. They're not.
And I think the flip side of all that, and I think the positive thing about it is that, within a couple of hours of that guy posting his claptrap, we had, 160 crazy BTBAM fans up there telling him he was full of shit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so you do have people that are outrageously passionate on the other side as well.
Yeah.
The music's weird. Our music is very strange, and it's going to hit people one way or the other. They're either going to hate it, or it's going to, strike a chord with them on some level, and they're going to enjoy what it is, the dynamics of this music and stuff like that. So yeah, it's there's a reason we're not like on the radio and stuff like that. It's hard to music to digest, So again, people are either going to be accepting of that challenge or not.
And let's talk a little bit about the current challenge that you guys have laid out there to the listening public, which is Parallax 2. It's a record that is very, 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 very dense. Yeah, it takes a lot. It's not background music; it's foreground music. And I guess we started this conversation back when I was still doing the backstroke to the moon. And this character has certainly evolved in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about what was involved in creating this kind of long form character within a metal kind of environment.
Well, it's something we've always kind of talked about, especially since Colors. We wrote that as one piece of music, and we always talked about how at some point we should do a concept record, full on, and after Swim to the Moon, Paul came up with, the basic concept, and for me, it was something that I felt could be enough story for 2 records full of material, and I thought the 2 characters were relatable enough where people could understand the story, and even though it was very kind of sci-fi here and there, it would be something they could grasp onto, and that was something that was important for me because a lot of times I feel like concepts don't have a personal touch at all, and I was trying to find a way to write the story and kind of put myself into these characters, and you know, have them experience things that obviously we don't experience firsthand, but the emotions they're going through are very similar to things everyone goes through. And that was what I was going for with it.
And you've really kind of taken this concept and just, you know, really grown with it.
Yeah.
And just even in terms of kind of the merchandising, from the outrageous kind of over-the-top spacesuit thing to now the book is coming out.
Yeah.
So, and I know a lot of people out there can't wait to get the book so they can understand what the hell is this wonderful thing.
We just figured if we're going to do it, we might as well do it. You know, go for it. And that's what we did. And we wanted to just, you know, if you really like this record and you really want to get into the story, you know, you have all these avenues to do so, and you know, and all these cool little things that can, you know, down the line can, you know, you can remember this moment when we wrote this record. And you know, it's as a fan of music, I like when bands do things like this, and I think we all do. It's just something special to give the fans and to do something a little unique. You know, that's kind of always our thing in general, anyway. So we went full force with this.
I mean, the great thing about Between the Buried and Me, aside from you guys being just, the great thing about Between the Buried and Me is, like I said, I mean, we live in a post-BTBAM era in which there are no rules anymore. There's nobody who says, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And one of the great things is that this whole generation of other bands have come along that, you know, have taken this freedom that you've given them and just run with it.
Yeah.
And I see it every day, and I get introduced to bands every day that, you know, if Colors didn't exist, these bands wouldn't exist. And that's got to make you feel good, I would hope.
It does, yeah. I mean, it's
totally humbling, and you know, because for us, there's bands for us that if they didn't exist, we wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
So it's certainly like it's very flattering, you know, when you see a band that has, you know, skilled players and, you know, are up there, you know, really good musicians and stuff, and they cite us as an influence or something. That's definitely really cool. I feel pretty good about that.
And there's, you know, and there are bands out there that are kicking ass these days. That
yeah,
are
definitely.
In absolute, and I think most of them would admit that they are in the tradition of BTBAM. You know, bands like, you know, my dear friends the Contortionists and, you know, White Arms and Big Sugar Ruins, and it's just bands out there that are reaching an audience with this.
Yeah.
You know, kids are like, you know, they're willing.
Yeah.
They're willing to put up with it.
Yeah. And they're playing music that they really want to play. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's important, is they're whatever we've done to pave the way for people to kind of do something different, you know, and they're doing it, and that's cool. And it's cool that people that they have an audience, you know. So I mean, it's really kind of a cool thing. I hope that it continues to evolve, and you know, and metal and just music in general becomes a little less constrained as far as like what you can and can't do and stuff like that. And then also too that listeners and fans of music start to, their expectations, you know, are kind of thrown out the window, and they're open-minded to all kinds of different sounds and stuff like that. So I guess that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. So you said 2 records. Is the story over, or are we going to be here in 4 years?
I'm talking about the EP.
Huh?
The EP and the
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, we're not going to be here in 5 years talking about Parallax 4.
No. As the end of the story is goodbye to everything.
Right.
So that's the story. So.
All is gone.
Yeah, all is gone.
So what are you thinking in terms of where we go next?
I have no idea. I haven't thought about it, honestly, at all.
Probably do a dubstep record.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean,
you think
writing the concept
you stick with
fun?
the concept thing, or do we just go into
I think we have to start writing the music first, you know, and you know, the one thing I really pride our band in is the fact that we've never really forced anything. You know, even when we did the concept record, you know, it was, we started writing and we're like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, but you know, we try to never plan before we start doing it. You know? And so who knows? I don't know if we'll stick to each song or do a concept, or I don't know. Maybe I'll make a big puzzle out of different songs. And if you change the track list,
record it backwards.
Yeah, who knows?
Right. Yeah. Hail Satan.
We'll make
We'll
make a CD that has no music on it, and we'll just.
And that will be a mockery of the converted
concept. Pretend it's there.
Imagine what you would hear if there were music.
Yeah. And there'll be people that are like, holy shit. That's crazy.
one of the great things about Colors was, of course, that you toured doing the full record, and you did the DVD with the full record.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about doing that with Parallax?
Later this year, we're going to do the Parallax 2 feature sequence from start to finish, and we've talked about DVD stuff, but it's nothing we've.
Very early stages.
Yeah, it's very early stages. But we're definitely doing the tour.
Yeah.
So that'll be later this year. We're kind of ironing out the details as far as the lineup and everything. But definitely looking forward to playing the record.
My friend Chris Clement, who's one of your big fans in England, when I posted that I was going to do the interview, he asked, "Is there a movie?" And if there's not, he said, if there is, I'll stop writing the screenplay right now.
I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah,
I would love to sit down with somebody. And
it's weird
they come up with
when we started, and I'm not saying this to say like, oh, we were first or whatever, but when we kind of started kicking the idea around and the vague story, like all these, like there's another movie, like another Earth, like came out, and it was like strikingly similar to sort of what we were going for, and we're like, that's weird,
I think I changed some of the stuff in the story because of how similar it was.
And even like in a lot of ways, Prometheus, that movie, the idea that life, began on another planet or whatever, like it was weird just how like it's almost like there's this trend, like I don't know, maybe humanity as a whole has become interested in our origins, not necessarily in a religious sense, but like, I think people are becoming more and more accepting of the fact that there's like something else out there, and are better grasping the concept of like how old the universe is and how big it is and stuff like that. And so it's weird that that seems to be like a popular subject,
right? With all the meteors that've been happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's just
you stirred something up in the cosmos.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Now we know who to blame.
Yeah, you blame Obama.
Right, of course.
That's what everybody does.
Yeah.
Well, there was a thing on the
saw
Chappelle show years ago. Chappelle, one of his skits was that a meteor strikes the Earth, and black president's fault.
Right.
So people are saying, "Oh, did Dave Chappelle predict the future?"
I guess Fox News said
Fox News actually reported
that it wasn't his fault, of course.
Yeah. But anyway, So anyway, I think it's kind of cool that like that's subject matter that people are tapping into. Obviously, in the entertainment industry more than anything else, but I think it's because people have a genuine interest in that sort of weird idea that hey, maybe Earth isn't the first Earth or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, heck, the more we learn about Mars, right? I mean, it looks like there was once flowing water on the surface of Mars.
All that stuff's
so
super
maybe we trashed that planet already. And
maybe
here.
so. I don't know.
And I've long believed that I was 7 years old when Neil Armstrong fucked up the first words on the moon. You know that story, right?
Yeah.
What has that one?
Well, he was supposed to be. He said it's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, which makes no sense. He was supposed to say it's one small step for a man. Right. He fucked up. Anyway, but it was like, everybody assumed that I was, I'm 7 years old. It's like, oh, well, when you're grown up, you'll live in space and vacation on Saturn or whatever. I feel totally fucking ripped off.
The Jetsons.
Long process, I guess. But
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that there is kind of this consciousness out there that at a certain point, the Earth's resources are limited, and you can, if we can't support 8 billion people on the planet, mass starvation is not the answer. But getting the heck off the planet, maybe.
Right, and that's kind of what the Parallax is sort of about. That's sort of the big picture about it. Is that we're kind of a destructive species, whatever it is that makes us that way, whether it's a flawed gene or whatever. But we're kind of destined to destroy. So. As we become more and more technologically advanced, we become more and more destructive, but at the same time, will we also, in the process, figure out a way to get the hell out of here and do it all over again? Right. You know what I mean? So, I've always, in the past few years anyway, I've just found that to be a really interesting thing, interesting subject.
It's fucking interesting, man.
It's fucking interesting.
But then, the cool thing about what I think Tommy did with the story was gave it like you said, kind of a very emotional, like personal thing.
Right.
You kind of see what these people are actually going through.
And it's this hypersleep sort of connection that's beyond space and time.
Right.
It's faster than light communication.
Right.
I'm familiar with Bell's theorem and all that kind of stuff, right?
Well, yeah, and the cool thing about sci-fi is you can sort of just make up your own rules.
Yeah, there was points I was like, how do we explain this happening? And we're like, it's sci-fi.
Yeah,
right.
It's like, dude, we're not smart enough to know if it exists. Maybe it does. Maybe you can do that. We just don't know how.
Right.
So fuck it.
It was like the old plot line in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where he was like, "Oh, well, I'll just change the gravitational quotient of the universe. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
like,
You just plug that in real quick.
Plug that
Push
in.
that button that does that.
Yeah. So.
Excellent. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Anything? What? No. I don't want the fun interview to enter.
I know, man. I don't know, man. We're just plugging along, doing our thing.
Tour's been good. Yeah. I'm ready to start writing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to write.
I don't know if we all are, but I am. I don't know. I just want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, like we were talking about earlier. I just want to do something different and see what happens.
Right. Because there's no fucking rules.
No, not at all.
There's not.
We'll just do what we do.
Well, I can tell you that, I appreciate what you do, and there's more and more people out there that appreciate what you do every day. And, I think we see it in, the tours that you guys are on. We're on this bus, you're not in a van.
Yeah.
It ought to feel good.
We're very fortunate. And thinking about, when Paul and I were writing the first record in our apartment together, we never would have thought we could go to Japan and all these places.
In those days you didn't. Playing music for a living, or the kind of music that we were trying to play, was not an option. Right. Just like, well, we'll
do this,
kick around, do some shows, be poor as hell, and see what happens.
And then you had kind of that moment after Silent Circus when Alaska came along, when you had the balls to say "fuck you" and piss off a whole bunch of your fan base, right? You really did. And at the same time, it allowed you to reach this whole new audience.
Yeah, but I think there were nuggets even on the first couple albums.
Oh, absolutely,
there were nuggets there. And for us, we
took baby steps.
It was never like this big watershed moment for us. There was just little things along the last 10 or 11 years that have led us to where we are now. It's not like we just woke up one day and we had a career, for lack of a better word. We just sort of kept plugging along and doing our thing, and it was it's been a gradual process. And, it's cool. We just keep getting more and more fans. And
so what would you say to these kids that I'm telling you about, that I'm dealing with every day, who are, out there?
Be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah, patience is the big thing, man.
A lot of it's the same. The same thing goes for music that as any other thing in life. You just got to be passionate about what you do and work hard, and don't take no for an answer kind of thing. Just keep pushing forward. That's what it takes to be successful in almost any damn thing. Yeah. So music's no different. There's no secret formula. What I mean? People always ask me, well,
there's definitely those bands that just they get the lucky break or whatever. That's so rare. I don't think people realize how rare that really is.
You can't depend on that,
Yeah.
If you really want to do it, and especially if you're playing some weird shit, like what we're doing, or any of the bands that you like, you just got to work your ass off, and there is an element of luck there. But if you work hard, and
I think when you and I had the conversation about great new metal, you said that it was, it's a blue collar job.
Yeah,
this kind of music's a blue collar job.
Yeah, you do. And the reality is, for 10 years, we toured, or almost 10 years, I guess more like 8 or 9 years. We toured in a van, we loaded our own gear. If shit broke, you had to figure out how to fix it. We put chains on tires in the mountains. There wasn't any,
wrecks.
Yeah,
bus fires.
All kinds of shit goes wrong. But it's not a rock star life, doing this. But
it sure beats the hell out of working.
It beats the hell out of working 9 to 5, and it is rewarding because you are creating something, and then you go out and play shows. As hard as it is to tour, sometimes you do get to see this sort of immediate reaction of people to your music that you spend a lot of time on and feel passionately about. So it's a pretty cool job in that way. Keeps pushing papers around.
Well, I know you have a long drive ahead of you, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it down.
Well,
just say thank you very much. Thank you.
See, he doesn't he's not taking a limo.
No,
He's got to drive his.
He's
sorry,
taking
yes.
and his beautiful child that we had a lot of fun playing with tonight.
it's
So,
fun.
yeah, so congratulations on that. Congratulations on your engagement.
Thank
It's
you.
very exciting. So.
Yeah. Thank you,
All
everyone,
roads up.
for liking the jams.